Hangout on Air is live. Waiting for the participants to come in, and we will be back shortly. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. You know what? I just realized I don't have my earbuds. Let me grab my earbuds. Hold on.
Okay. Hi, Leonie.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, not well, really. I have a cold.
Mm.
So I'm going to just work the camera tonight. I actually forgot to post the link to come into the Hangout.
Yeah, I was looking for it, and then I saw that it wasn't posted. So I'm glad it was.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here like, okay, where is everybody? It's 6 o'clock, right? And then it finally occurred to me, y'all didn't have a link to get in.
No, we did not.
So
it worked
that's
out.
how I'm feeling. So Venita, I'm just saying I'm having a cold. I have a cold. I feel terrible. So I'm going to stay off camera, stay out of the discussion tonight and just work the camera. All right.
Yeah, I saw that posted. I didn't call you. I've been for a minute since 20 of because I assumed that you. I thought you were having problems, but I didn't know you forgot, girl. You post everything else. I was just waiting.
I know. But that just is a measure of how sick I am.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't call you. I didn't bother to call. I said, well, she's still posting stuff, and then after no more posts came, like, well, okay, maybe she'll do this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too bad. I didn't know you were sick like that. Hope you feel better soon.
Yes, absolutely. Same here. Sure hope you feel better.
All right, so I'm going to mute myself.
Okay.
Nicole, we are live, so Nicole, whenever you get ready.
Okay. Okay. So let me pull this up. All right, so I have slightly edited. I realized after I posted, I had some typos. So I have a slightly edited version. So it's pulling up on my cell phone. All right, we can begin. All right, welcome everyone to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle, session 11. We are reading Brittney Cooper's Eloquent Rage. And I am going to facilitate the discussion of chapter 5, Bag Lady. And so I'm going to start with just each member introducing herself. My name is Nicole Jackson Wilson. I'm joining today from Houston, Texas. And so I will pass the torch then to Leonie, if you want to introduce yourself, and then on to Venita, Gio, and then Ken.
Cool. So everybody, as Nicole mentioned, my name is Leonie Smith. Today I happen to be joining you from Richmond, California. Typically I'm joining you from Toronto, Canada. Welcome.
Okay, Venita. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was kind of wondering. Good evening. My name is Venita Walker, and I'm joining you from Cromwell, Connecticut. Welcome.
Gio.
And hi, my name is Georgette Moses, and I'm joining you guys from Columbia, South Carolina.
And Kim.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Brandon, and I am in New York. Hi.
All right. And Michelle is not well, so she is here. Spirit too.
Okay.
But she's here. Okay, so let me just kind of y'all know y'all gotta bear with me. Lord, sometimes I don't know where my mind is. So let me just try to offer something to kind of submit where I was going with this, because so I definitely feel like I read Bag Lady and felt like a collective mourning still around, Sandra Bland and the tragic loss of life, and the fact that I drive, I'm commuting to Texas A&M this semester, and so I'm driving. I have to drive through Prairie View to get to College Station, and so it's a constant for me. So I didn't recognize in doing this, um, facilitating for this particular chapter, how overwhelmingly emotional it will be, because I'm thinking of her constantly, right? And I know that now there's Sandra Bland Parkway, where she was, the traffic stop occurred, and so forth. And so anyway, I was just thinking about the collective voices, and my just kind of joining, um, Brittney Cooper's with Alexis Pauline Gumbs, um, those two voices. So I just want to start kind of, and I'm going to summarize the introduction. I wanted to just start by reading the poem that Alexis Pauline Gumbs offered, um, in memorial to Sandra Bland. It's for Sandra Bland, or somebody loves you, somebody cares, and it begins, by her kind of detailing what happened. Was stopped, was found, was arrested, was pulled over, was stopped, was found dead. Who stopped? Who found? Who arrested? Who pulled over? Who stopped? Who found? The Black woman found too loud and slammed her on the ground. The cops who found the Black woman sound of dignity too much to bear, who thought they sound too much, then said they found her silent, hanging there. And so, I brought that kind of to our awareness and our discussion, because obviously, you think about like different people reading that and where our pauses would be, and then, what we would emphasize. But the fact that Alexis Pauline Gumbs does get to the tension there, was stopped. If that traffic stop had never occurred, Sandra Bland would quite possibly still be with us today, doing her work. And then I started the summary. I just said I chose to begin this summary and our discussion with this poem in memory of Sandra Bland. It's not lost on me that something significant occurs when I place this poem in conversation with Brittney Cooper's Bag Lady. It's as if Gumbs and Cooper are both signifying on the peculiarity, performance, act, process of finding a truth-telling and yet journeying Black woman, or as Robin Boylorn considers it, Black girl. What does Black mobility, or a Black woman's mobility, mean in this context? And then what does it mean if the journeying and truth-telling Black girl or Black woman is found by an agent of the state? What does it mean when she finds herself, her elixir, her salve, her magic? And what then does it mean when she's found by another truth-telling and journeying Black woman? So I just kind of want to, think through that. I'll skip kind of the rest of that summary. And let's just go right into, I just want to state the end of that summary where I said, as Cooper and Gumbs' texts indicate, and as Sandra Bland's life and activism suggests, our labor will not be in vain, for we already understand that as the great mothers of Black women's studies stated, the title of the book, all the women are white, all the Blacks are men, but some of us are brave. They are brave indeed, and so are you, and so am I, regardless. And I'm offering that because I see the work that we're doing, and this work that Michelle, and Venita, you all, that like the kind of founding members here, started as it's Black women's studies. This is the work. It is the necessary work, and it's the survival of this intellectual tradition. And it's the work that Sandra Bland was also doing online with her YouTube channel, Black Studies, Black Women Studies, and the consideration there. And so I'm just wanting to pause and applaud each of you for your contributions and your bravery. So then let's go right into the questions. Do you mind, Venita? I'm so happy to see Venita. Venita, do you mind reading number 1 for us, please?
Sure. Question number 1. I want to begin by inviting you to, like Cooper, return to early, middle, and late girlhood to think through the trope of journeying. Truth-telling Black women. Black women who are determined to get somewhere other than here. Locate her in your memories. Please tell us about her. First of all, I learned a lot of new things about Sandra Bland. I didn't know her background. It almost saddens me to just have seen her as another Black woman that died at the hands of a white person.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm desensitized, it's just that it happens so often and we only know her name.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it brought me back, which is very scary, to something that happened to me.
Mm.
And I could have been her because the police wanted me to get out of my car. And I told him no. Because I knew what was going to happen. So her whole story, it just scares me. So maybe that's why I kind of, put it over there. I don't even know where to start with this question. I need a few minutes to think about this. This is so much.
Yes, I do understand.
It's a lot of question. Well, of course, Nicole, it's going to be a lot of question. Can't just be a question. A little thought process. We need 4-5 days.
Well, she did give us some extra time. She did post it.
Georgette, and just the sad part about it, the girl posted it last year, but she knows.
Oh my goodness.
He has me cracking up.
I was gonna try not to say anything, but Venita, when I look at that question and I think about your life and your kind of struggle to make a better life for your sons and to I think you should have an answer to that question. That's all I'm gonna say. Bye.
No, I do. I just it's just a lot. I guess maybe it's just too much for me to right now. I'll let Georgette or
Okay. All right, then we'll come back to you.
Yeah, I need to process that for a minute.
Okay. Well, I love this question because it made me think about the 2 stories I read. One was The Warmth of Other Suns, which is, it's a collection of stories of people from the South who migrated to the North and their difficulties. And then the other one was The Street, which really personalized, the single mother trying to make it work and all the adversity that she was up against living in a northern town. And I could connect that to sort of the untold details in my mother's story, moving from Rock Hill, South Carolina, to Newark, New Jersey, and her generation, and how she dealt with the adversity all through her life, adversity from her own people, as well as from, white people and figures of authority, and then the different places where she found respite. And she always came back to religion as her base. And then just seeking knowledge and knowing, being kind of self-possessed, knowing that she was somebody. Well, what she would always say is, we're not from these people, which I never really understood until I got older and, I had more life experience. And I'm like, oh, yeah, she's right. She's right. And then the other, and the next generation would be my older sister. She's in her 60s now, her late 60s. And for her, it was more of, I need to, even though she went through the Black Power movement as a youth, as she began to be more involved in the corporate world, and she had a wide range of friends. She had to assimilate to the environment because, everybody who had jobs were white, or some other ethnicity that was in power at the time in the city in which we lived. So she had to learn how to, I guess you call it what, code switching, just, be able to move between worlds, but still know inside herself, I see this injustices that are going on. And when I have enough power, I'm going to try to change it, which she did try. It didn't quite work out for her. God has other plans for us. We make plans and then he makes the decision and we got to deal with it. But that's a different story. So I like, I like how you word this, this question, journeying and truth telling, because everybody's got their own truths to tell how they see it from where they're sitting. And it's going to be a continuous journey. And we've got to pull, those diamonds out of that rock hard charcoal from the pressure that we're going to be under. And there's going to be all kinds of pressure. And comparing the pressure that my mother was under, trying to make it and still having to have that sense of respectability that her age group had. And then comparing it to my sister's more free, she was freer to do more things as a single woman, and then as a married woman, but well, that's different. Complicated. Than my mother was. And then here I am having transitioned through, both of those worlds, trying to pick up as I watch them try to deal with all their issues, external and internally. What am I going to use from them to help me process my life? And then the different situations that I have to deal with. And then thinking about my life, and then what will I be able to give my granddaughters, knowing what they're going to face coming up with these bunch of crazy kids that are coming up in their age group. But yeah, everybody's trying to get other than here, because where we are as brown skinned people is not great. We, you want to have a positive attitude about it because you need to have hope. But then every day something's coming to remind you of your place in this society. And it's really a lot to deal with. So you got to remember how did my mother make it? Okay, how did my sister make it? You got to keep working, keep connecting with women, good spirited women who are striving the same way you are, trying to make a good family life for their, the people they love. So
Thank you, Gio. Thank you so much. It's very profound. Like, I
Nicole,
like that you're showing these blueprints do already exist. We need to tap into them. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying, Venita?
I was Gio. I guess this is a very difficult question for me, only because it's not even difficult. It just is so deep for me. And when I listen to Georgette, there's a lot of things, as even I was reading that chapter, that came to life, and one was respectability. I never thought about respectability. because I never appreciated the church.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a mega church, AME church, and that's what Black folk did. But I never had appreciation for it. You know, from the time as a child, it always felt like I was looking at, I don't know, it just didn't seem, it didn't touch me. It didn't seem real. It just seemed theatrical. So I never was faced with that respectability thing. You know, being a single mother, I never thought about respectability because I really didn't care. Maybe if I was stayed in the church, then it might have been an issue for me because I would have had all that matriarchal stuff on me. But I never thought about that. And thank goodness I didn't. Because I don't think I would have been able to move forward if I had all that on me. And I think that'd have been a liability for me. If I embraced the church, if I embraced all the crazy shit that I saw in the church, that I think it would have hindered my progress because I had all that crazy. Because it was really crazy for me. I remember being a little girl just looking at I thought it was crazy. It was a big church, but I thought it was crazy.
Yes.
And I'm not saying to be insulting.
Right.
I'm just saying that I am spiritual, but the organized business of church, that's all I saw it as, even being a child. It's like some, you know, in a play or at a movie, you know, every Sunday, waiting for it to get over. So I could do something that made sense. And then she was also talking about our mothers, you know, although, you know, they did everything they could and they made it. Not really.
Yeah. Not
really. They might have made it as far as food and clothing and shelter. But as I got older, even my teen years, my mother wasn't making it. She was all broke up here. Just tired. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, you can see that smile they put in their face, but you can still see the sadness I did behind that smile. I want to make it pleasant for you and everything is, but I could see that all the time. Yeah. You know, behind that smile. So no, they weren't really making it. They were existing. They were just going from 1 minute to the next, from one day to the next. And I always found that disturbing. I just know I couldn't do that. I just can't, I couldn't do that. I just could not do that. And today I feel for her. Every time I think about it, it makes me sad because she put that smile and I saw beyond the smile. I just didn't, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, yeah. I don't know. I guess the memories are just too heavy for me. I knew that I remember being a child that my most prominent thoughts, although I had an active life, was when I get to be an adult, I'm out of here. And I did. As soon. And never turned around. I just never went back. It's just, and when I look at it today, it saddens me because I still see 50 years later, 50 something years later, and nothing has changed.
Powerful. Oof, that's powerful. Thank you for that, Venita. That's powerful. I mean, oh, yeah, that is deep. Thank you for sharing that. Oof. Deep. Kim or Leonie, did you want to add to, or we can go to the next?
I guess for me, if I look at the generations first, I think my journey required carrying both my grandmother's and my mother's baggage and my baggage. So I think that in one way, emotionally, there was no way of dealing with the generational nature of racism. But I do recall my grandmother being housekeeper, maid, just cheated so much. I remember my aunt telling me a story of when it was Easter and my grandmother wanted to buy her girls Easter clothes, and the woman that she worked for they own some store downtown Baltimore, and they said, the woman said to my grandmother to go and take some of the clothes on sale in lieu of payment. So she was just like, no, wait a minute, I want money. I don't want what you think I should have. Probably last season's stuff. And so my aunt said, you know, we had tons of swimming suits, but we never went swimming. So it was just this level of evilness that I think my grandmother experienced. And she seemed further away from her feelings than my mother did. But my mother became a very, I guess, powerful woman in her own right. And then when you look at my generation, there's not too many Black women today is going to take swimsuits for payment when their kids aren't going swimming. So I see that there is a progression in a little bit more power and choice, but also emotionally, psychologically, I agree with Venita that there seems to be a sadness that started to get heavier and heavier with each generation. So, but I do love the fact that I grew up with such role models. You know, there was Angela Davis and Shirley Chisholm, and there were people that said to me, I had power.
Yes.
You know, I didn't feel like I had power as a kid. It's just so complex that you feel one way, you see every couple of minutes you feel something else. So yeah, so that's what I want to contribute.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kim. I thought I was muted because I'm like, you know, call and response, like, oh yes. I thought I was muted, and now I realize I wasn't. I'm probably cutting you off. I was agreeing with you, but
No,
you know, I didn't
fine,
want you to be distracted by me. Yes, you know.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Oh,
Leonie, did you want to? Did you want to add anything, Leonie, or we can
I could.
Okay.
I could. Like I think I shared before, it was either last week or the week before. I think Michelle was sharing something about where she was, and I recall sharing something on the lines of like, I was nowhere near that place because I was just a ball of nerves in terms of like childhood and girlhood and everything else. I was just in a constant state of stimulus and quite fearful. And so this journey is something that I've come to as an adult. And in terms of what I have witnessed, I don't, so I haven't had the experience of kind of, I have only arrived at this place as an adult. I arrived at it out of need, out of the sense of like survival. It's not like I had this experience of being inspired by this woman or that woman. It's just, it's not my nature to see people in that way. And so, but I'm grateful for the journey that I'm on now, and recognizing that it is a journey, because it allows me to, because it's very hard to like unpack all these bags that we're meant to carry, and to be able to do so and do so with tenderness towards myself and others. I feel very lucky that I'm resourced in the way that I am. That's all.
Oh, that's beautiful, Leonie. Thank you. That is beautiful. Go ahead, Venita.
There's music in the background. Someone's practicing or something.
Yeah, that's mine. I'm trying to. I keep myself muted while I'm not speaking. It's either I'm not able to go anywhere that either I go someplace that has no internet or there's the background noise. So my apologies.
Yes. Okay.
I have to make sure. Yeah, I was just wondering. No problems.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you all for sharing. It's so beautiful for me. I was trying to give us an out with the, well, I'm thinking through like how Robin Boyd Lorne constructs. Well, you all know, I don't even have to say, like, I'm really digging and interested in girlhood studies, Black girlhood. And so, but I love how Robin Boyd Lorne constructs girlhood for Black women. And she actually joins the two words Black girl. So it becomes one word, Black girl. And so that's why I was trying to give us the late girlhood, because, you know, which we could consider our adulthood. Because I'm thinking like, I was thinking when I wrote that, the fact that from my girlhood, when I was younger, I had these, of course, my mother, but I had aunts, and so, you know, who were women that didn't necessarily have, when we think about like institutional power, but they had power in our family. And the matriarch, my mother's oldest sister, who was, you all, we're very short. And so she was like 4'8". But I tell you, she was something phenomenal. And so, you know, but I watched her like want to become a minister, and she started ministering, and she would do battle with these men who didn't want her behind the pulpit, and she was deliberate in doing so. And even my aunt, who had a problem with drugs, she was always, I knew she was a journeying woman. Like, she was looking for something. She was a creative soul, and just didn't have the supports to get where she could have gotten in life had that infrastructure been available to Black women and her. And so I was thinking about them, but also this opportunity that I've had to work with this archival project that I was doing last semester that's really changed my life. I had the opportunity to meet a pioneer in Black studies and a Black woman critical theorist, Sylvia Winter, and work with her. And you all, when I tell you I'm so grateful, like I felt, I don't know if I should say grandmothered or mothered in such a way that just, it was almost like a picking me up and putting me back on my feet and loving me and, you know, and pushing me off and saying, okay, now go and do what you need to do. So, but she's a journeying, thinking about diaspora and the fact that she came to America from Jamaica, and her students whom I've grown to read their works and love, like Carmen Canard, who's at John Jay College. I think that's CUNY, right? I think, yeah, that's CUNY. And then also her other student who's teaching at Texas A&M, Dr. Shona Jackson. So I am grateful, and I love how Leonie said that as well. Like, it is a journey, and it took me to get the 40 years to realize it's a journey. And so, but it's becoming more beautiful. So, all right, let's go to our second question, I guess. Well, I don't know about question 3 because I don't want to trigger. I don't know if you all, we could go for 2 or 3. Let me ask Kim if she would take that one, to either 2 or 3. Kim, you just decide which one appeals to you, and we'll go from there.
Are other people hearing Kim? Because I am not.
No. Oh, Kim, you're muted.
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't even looking up. I'm
She's
sorry.
still
I would have said
muted.
something.
Yeah, I was looking at the questions. Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you, Leonie. Okay, let's go back. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
So I'd like to do 2. Cooper's storytelling strategy excites me. I love how Cooper draws parallels between her life and Bland's life. I enjoyed Cooper's means of tracing her journey and conveying where her journey contrasts and yet mirrors Bland's journey. What does she gain by using this narrative technique? What is lost?
Venita, we're picking up your sound as you're touching your device, just so you know.
I think for me, the technique works for me in that I think when Sandra Bland was murdered, whatever veil of security that I thought I had left, I just thought that something about my history, my experience was going to keep me safe. And I just related so much to, she was this professional person, and all the other things that internalized racism kind of says, these are the things that you should have in order to be safe in this country. And that kind of exploded in my face. So I like that Cooper reminds us that we are so alike when it comes to racists. And it didn't work in the fact that Sandra paid the ultimate price. And it just feels like I'm always leery of people who take a tragedy and turn it into a platform for themselves. And I don't think that's what Cooper's doing here, but that's the risk of riding a wave too long. But I am grateful that in some way she's given Sandra a little bit of a memorial in this book. And we just got to keep saying her name. So I like that. That's pretty much it for me.
Thank you, Kim. That's beautiful. I love your writer's eye. It's like I was like, I wonder how Kim would see that. Because from the perspective of, I know you do creative nonfiction and you're also poetry, and so you just, it runs the gamut. Whatever you're feeling, you write. So I love that. And I was just thinking, like, I was actually thinking about the contrast between how Alexis Pauline Gumbs captures it in that poem versus how Cooper captures it in prose. And I was thinking about, those two techniques. And I get that this was a part of a collection of books for Cooper, whereas for Alexis Pauline Gumbs, hers was a part of a blog post that she wrote called, and I think it's called The Problem with the Present Past Tense. But anyway, I think I do agree with you that she paid the ultimate price. And so I don't know, like in drawing that parallel, I was thinking like the purpose, like what does she want the reader to take away from that? Because yes, Bland ultimately pays the price, but then Cooper is also like saying, I don't care where you are and like what your station is as a Black woman. You could be, the Black woman who's just gotten a dream job and you're on your way to get that dream and perform that labor. You could be a Black woman in academia, in corporate America, a banking executive. It does not matter when we are read as Black, and like W.B. Du Bois says, a problem. Blackness is read as a problem. And so, but I agree with you as well, Kim, like, but then how do you like deal with, ultimately Sandra Bland's life has had a tragic demise. So absolutely. Anyone else want to take that one up? Or okay, go ahead, Leonie.
Yeah, the piece that you've just shared, I think that what's gained from the way that Cooper has talked about Bland is the fact that she is speaking to the fact that this is a systemic issue. So that it's not just about Sandra Bland. So that Sandra Bland has a personal story, but that her story is systemic in its impact. And so I think that, and for me, why that works is because there were times when I was reading this originally, and when she says in the book that the system's response to seeing us bend is to break us entirely. I mean, I was on a plane when I read that, and I actually started crying. Like, I'm not crying, I had tears. And it just broke my heart because to see this that this is allowed to happen to us. And at the same time, it motivates me to stay on my journey around healing because my life really does depend on it. And to do so in community because other Black women's lives depend on it as well. They depend on the healing, and they depend on me adding my voice to theirs in order for in order for the response to also be systemic, not just the action or the operation.
That's beautiful. Oh, Leonie, thank you. Wow. Oof, that's beautiful. Anyone else? Or we could, wow.
I'm grateful for you, Nicole, and I'm so grateful for you, Leonie, because we need women with voices like the two of yours. Mine is quieting now. I'm actually on a different journey. I have done as much as I want to do. I think it's time for fresh voices, fresh ideas, and more so, I think it's time for me to heal from doing. I don't think it's beneficial for me to be a doer anymore. I've done all I should do and all I want to. And that's because, sometimes I wish I could do more, but no, I think I'm just on a different journey now. I think that sometimes voices need to be quieted. I think we need fresh voices and energy.
Oh, that's beautiful, Venita. Wow.
And that's why I appreciate you and Leonie and the energy that you have. And for those that have energy, even, others may have energy left. I'm just saying mine is spent.
Yes.
And what I do have left, I have to reserve that for me now.
I love that, Venita, because I think what you're saying takes us into another question here. Like the work that because of the structural oppression, and as Leonie indicated, as Cooper talks about systemic, racism and sexism and classism and ableism. I mean, all of these issues that, again, Black women, as she talks about the intersections, we meet at the intersections of these kind of identities for us that are already framed as problematic. The healing, just because of that, right? Oh my gosh, I think you're touching on something so profound there, Venita. Gio, did you want to respond to that? Or if not, could you take us to number 4, which I think goes right into what Venita's saying, like kind of this spiritual work.
Okay, let's go into 4 then.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Gio. Feel free to shorten that if you want to. Not with number 4.
With number 4. That's not long at all. No. Okay. We've spoken her name, their names, and have begun to produce text to commemorate their lives. What more must we do to protect Black women and girls? What more must we do to raise awareness, stop traffic, stage a die-in, take out ads in the local national press, #activism? Or should we concentrate on the internal spiritual work? Can Black women's spiritual work match the structural systems that would crush us alive? Why and why not? Is that really a question? We can't survive if we don't feed your spirit. We can't. We couldn't have made it this far without, as Venita's talking about, those times where we pause and refresh. And as Leonie's talking about, adding our voices together to bring strength, to make that bundle of sticks strong, too strong to break. How many voices do we need to make that bundle too strong to break? You know? And then on that same line of foliage or growth, without the sap, that's the spirit, the branch will break off. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. Did you all see, I guess, like a tension there? And I'm sorry, you all, after I wrote it, I realized there was actually like 3 questions, but okay. I'll have to pay attention to that. But did you all notice? I'm going to do better. I'm gonna have to go back and do better. But I think there was like this tension that Cooper was. Did you all agree with that? Because there was, I don't know, there was a part of me like I got what Cooper was doing there, but there was another part of me that's like, oh, let me push back. Where Cooper's talking about how her mother survived, right, and turning to the spiritual work, and Susan L. Taylor's. Oh God, I remember that's the first page I'd go to in my Essence magazine, that column, and then Iyanla Vanzant's work, and this whole turn to self-help, whereby she kind of like positions it like, if we're focused, like when Black women began to focus on the kind of self-help, like there's a real, literal, necessary need for the spirit and the spiritual work to be done, but what happens to pushing back against the structures, the system? How did you hold space for that? What did you all, was that a moment where you were putting like, you out your damn mind in that book, or did you?
Well, this whole chapter put me there, to be honest with you. A lot of things that she said here, I was just like, let me get me some water and do this again. Because, I mean, and I just don't know what to say about that, because I'm not a self-help type. Fix My Life. I've watched that program actually a couple of times. What is her name again? How do you pronounce it?
I pronounce it Iyanla Vanzant.
Ayana. Yeah, I've watched the program a couple of times. Quite frankly, I feel stressed when I'm done. I really feel stressed out. I just feel stressed. I can't even watch it. So when she started naming these names, I'm like, in Oprah. It's just, and I guess it's and that's for some people, and I can't really be unfair. For some people, that does feed them spiritually. So I'm not going to be unfair. It just doesn't have to feed me spiritually.
Right.
Okay. So she would, yeah. I couldn't get with all that, but Shirley Chisholm fed me spiritually. Angela Davis fed me spiritually. You know, those type of women, you know, they fed me. So I guess, like I said, different folks need different stuff. And that's what my mother, that's what they needed. That's cool, I guess.
I like that, Venita.
It worked for me in that I was one of those people who would go towards a Louise Hay or just different spiritual growth to help me work on my stuff. And I like that one of the things that I find missing looking back in hindsight, is exactly what Cooper's talking about, was that I didn't really start to, my bags didn't get smaller until I could understand that my stuff was braided into racism. It was braided into capitalism. It was braided into me being somebody else's workhorse mule, and my mother being that same person, and her mother being that same person, and that, like somebody had said earlier, I'm not sure which person said it, I think it was you, Nicole, had we been on equal footing and not experienced so much trauma from our government, I would have been able to soar higher. And so would my father, and we would not have been in this state of tension in the house so much. So some of what I needed to grow and recover from was not just my personal baggage, and it was not just my family drama. It was that with growing up in this country as a Black girl. So I like that she starts combing that out, but I don't think that she went in to a point where it felt like it was healing enough for me. It felt like she was saying, these people didn't know what they were talking about, but to a certain extent for me, they did. They just didn't go deep enough to put the whole puzzle together and say, this is where your growth needs to come from. Looking at all the pieces and not looking at, one part of the situation. And then that makes you feel like there's something innately wrong with you, that you're the broken part of the situation. No, you're a part of an experience.
Yes.
So that worked for me, for her to comb that out, but I just wanted her to go in a little deeper. And that's one of the issues I have sometimes, is that she'll hit on a topic that's new to me that I want to explore, and then all of a sudden we're on to something else.
Right. I'm with you there, Kim. I love that. I'm with you there. You're so right. You are so right. Do you all think the focus on, like, when she talks about her mother and these other Black women focusing on the spirit and the spiritual, I'm wondering, did they figure out, like, what was necessary, like the thing that they could do that at least kept those children safe in their homes, that kept themselves, safe? I don't know, like, were they at the brink of, like, spazzing out, and was this like a saving grace? So to I guess in a way to kind of stop the cycle of abuse. And I don't know. I think because maybe I was always a little flower child growing up, empathic. So I was always drawn to spiritual work. And being a little girl, I remember wanting to learn about people's spiritual journeys. This is crazy, but that was my favorite time in church, when folks got up and started testifying. Now that took me, I had to get a little older to realize sometimes they were just up there bragging, but there was just something, like, oh, sister, and the Lord done blessed me with a hallelujah car, and so
Stop, Nicole, because I used to laugh at church. I used to love it when they did that. So I just I thought it was some music. I would just crack up.
Yeah, that is like I love when the Black women would get up and do that hum and that moan and talking about, where the Lord brought, that was my time, now when Pastor started, so I think, me being a little flower child, I was a little girl reading the Susan L. Taylor column. So I was like, hold on now, Cooper, you can do a lot, but don't you mess with Susan L. Taylor now. That's my girl. But these pioneers, obviously.
Didn't they call them signifiers? Nicole.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes. They would call you a signifying child.
Yeah.
Everybody's business.
Yes, that's what I was. See, Kim, and that's why my mama would give me that talk, and she would say, "Don't you say anything. Don't you tell anything." She would give me that talk. And you know, I had to watch it because I would want to, like, if my mom or one of my aunts didn't go to church, I'd be like, oh, and you know, and sister such and such got up and said, you know, that no good child of hers came back, that y'all had prayed for came back home. So you know, I didn't. You know, so you know, I was truth telling. See, I had to learn with Black women, it's a time and a place to truth tell. Though, see. You truth tell at the wrong place, it's gonna be a problem, you know. So I had to learn like private and public, you know. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leonie.
So I think to the earlier piece around the tension that you had mentioned, so there's a gap that's there. There's a gap that's there partly, and I don't fault Cooper because you don't help that you're born in a capitalist society that tells you that your inspiration comes through your cable TV. But like the vast majority of women do not they're inspired by other women that they're in community with. And I think that we forget that we have those options here. That it's not just about buying the next book and about listening to the right person, that the structure, there's this almost, the gap that I see is this understanding of the structure coming from like some external system, like politics or the church or celebrity or whatever. And you have to keep in mind that the vast majority of women do not have access to those particular structures, that the structure in their life is the ones that have been built from their own cultures, that they're building in their own family. They're making choices about how they're raising their children and their girls in community, and that the structure doesn't have to come from something external. It could be from the family that you have, the family that you make, the culture that you're in. So for me, that's the gap, is that there's this understanding. It is this idea that like we get our inspiration from external things, which is very true within a Western context, but not true for the vast majority of women.
I like that. Yeah. That's significant, Leonie. Yeah. Yes, because she's specifically talking about it more in context, but outside of that, absolutely, that makes sense. Okay, let's see here. Wow, that's deep. Leonie, did you spot that kind of like that gap right away as you were reading, or okay.
For me, I did, and I think it's just because I think it's also because I am not one. So I like Oprah. I am not one to look at others, to look at celebrity or others. I don't assume. Yeah, I don't have that. I do not have that orientation at all. And it could be because I I'm not African American. I grew up in a very different culture, and so I did see it right away. And it kind of made me like I made a note when I was reading this. It like makes me. It kind of makes me mourn a little bit because I think of somebody, she's like less than 10 years younger than I am, and a celebrity is such an important part of what moves her forward, whether it's celebrity in academia or writers or actual famous people. And I just think of like when I think about like younger people, younger girls now, like even like your daughter's ages, there's so much orientation to look outside and look to the other when there's so much, and it means that you miss the resources that can be built within oneself, within one's community, within one's family. And it's just, it's for me, it's a consequence of the fact that we live like in a very like capitalist society. And so unless you're intentional about putting something else to kind of like block that, putting something else out there, most people now who are growing up are going to have an understanding of themselves from something external that's been marketed and packaged and is not, and so in some ways is not genuine.
Okay, thank you.
I agree, Leonie. But why? I just don't know why, Leonie. We had entertainers, you know, we had a lot of that, but we never, you know, bowed to anyone.
Yeah.
But we never lost, I never thought about idolizing.
Well, because I think entertainers were entertainers, but like you think of someone like teenagers today, many teenagers, for example, don't leave their house with like looking up a YouTube video for what makeup they're going to put on that day.
There you
like
go.
There's
Okay.
no pulling in. It's always looking outside. It's just the way that it's just the way that they're taught, that they grow up in. So unless there's something to counter that capitalist culture, capitalist patriarchal culture, which would take an incredible amount of intervention and being intentional about how children are being raised, that's it. You will end up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I saw that you were gone, because that's the thing that I already started seeing of people who are just say 10 or 15 years younger than me, that like you there's no point in asking for an opinion because they literally don't know how to form one without there being a collective like society to tell them what to think.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's the culture. It's the culture that we're in.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just my radical view for a particular Tuesday. Just
I agree.
Not so radical.
I really agree with everything you said. Yeah. Everything, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we love your radical view. Thank you for that.
And it's just not indicative to American women either. That's another comment I wanted to make. I think it's innate. It's a personal thing. Because the people that I associate with closely think you're attracted to people like yourself. Just think along your lines. They think like I do. And they're all American Black people. Afro-American, Negroes, whatever the buzzword is today.
See, this is why I love Venita.
That's why I have you and Leonie to keep me, up there, and my son, because I'm like, what is it today, Clint? I gotta ask them what's today.
Venita said, whatever the buzzword is, I know that's right.
Yeah, you just want to, but no, I'm just amazed by it all. I'm amazed.
Gosh, yes. Well, I want to tackle number 6, you all. And before we go there, let's kumbaya, because my God, this was a tough one, okay? Because it just took me back to like having debates with people and well-meaning, well-intentioned people. My father, and I understood what my dad was saying, was that I need you to return home safe. And if that means, kind of taking a passive stance or the appearance of being, submissive, then I need you to return home safe. And so let me breathe before I. So I wanted to pull number 6 out there, and I'm going to just quickly read that one. And so it says, meanwhile, there's an alternative for Black women during traffic stops: silence. A demoralizing, as Asha Mandel talks about, soul-sucking silence. Some argued would have ensured Sandra Bland's safety. What gives, and what do you make of that argument? Could silence have prevented death in 2 acts?
which begins as the physical death and then next death by character. Because, of course, Black victims' lives must be without wrinkle or stain to receive justice. America. Could it have prevented another Black mother from crying, weeping, wailing? Would it have disallowed Lynn's mother's admittance into what Philando Castile's mother, Valerie Castile, called this fucked up mother's club? Would it have alleviated some of the baggage Black women are forced to carry? What would silence have done?
It's such bullshit.
It's bullshit. Yeah, it is.
Bullshit.
But there, there's always a trade-off. And depends on what's at risk for that particular person. Again, it comes back to that person. And she, at that particular time, might have felt, I have nothing to lose. When I was faced with that, I felt as though my children would lose me. But I still wasn't silent. It probably was my lucky day, Nicole. And, I hate to say it, but literally, yeah, it was my lucky day.
Yes.
And it's sad to say that because I was like Sandra. I'm like, I'm not getting out this car. No, you're going to kill me. You're going to kill me in this car right here. Not getting out. Ain't going to happen.
Were your children with you, Venita?
Clint was an infant.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yep, he was 5 months old, and we were on our way to Marshall's early in the morning because you had that little time which you can just do anything, between feedings, everything. And I pulled into Marshall's parking lot, and he stopped me, and I saw him coming in there. And this is very early, like as soon as they open up, that'll be the time that I have, 9:30 in the morning, 9, And he pulled in, and I saw him pull in. So I stopped because he put his little lights on, and he came to the car, and he says, where are you going? So it was not a good day for me either with him because I wasn't trying to do this at 9:30 in the morning. No. So I said, I'm going to Marshall's. He said, well, I don't like the way you pulled in the parking lot. I said, well, how many ways is there to do it? You make a left. You put I just wasn't trying to do all that with him. It's cold outside. Clint was born in October. Yeah, it's like still cold. You know what? I said, how many ways can you do it? I put in the blank up and I turned in the parking lot. Is there another way I could have did that? Because I really wanted to know what the hell he wanted. So then, I'm asking him. He's a scholar out here with the police uniform, the greasy hair. You tell me how you want. There's another way. So he says, "Are you being smart with me?" I said, "No, I'm asking you a question. You asked me a question, I answered." So he says, "Well," he kept looking on the other side of my car seat while he was just talking like real crazy, and I rolled my window down. He says, "Where's your license? I want to see your license and registration." I said, well, okay. So my window was down, so I went to roll my window back up. He said, why are you rolling the window up? I said, because it's cold and the air is getting on my child, and we don't need to be like this for me to go and get licensed. I gave it to him. He kept looking on my side of the car, and I said, well, and at that point, I was getting kind of upset. My child was getting cold, and I knew where he was going. He wanted to provoke me to kill me in the morning for no reason. And he had the whole greasy, redneck, white cracker, ugly look to him. The kind that got a small penis, the kids picked on in school, that type.
Okay.
He's like 5'9", real slight, 140 pounds. It's just, and I knew what was going on. I'm like, oh God, one of those. So anyways, to make a long story short, he asked me that he got upset with me. Well, you're just trying to be smart. I said, look, my child's getting cold, so please remove your hand from my window. If you want to give me a ticket for anything, just give me the ticket, which is no reason, but just write something. Give me whatever you want to give me so I can be moving on. So he wanted to write me a ticket for something. I forgot, something stupid. Just wrote something down there. And he already ran my license before he stopped me. I haven't even had a parking ticket in my life. You know what I'm saying? I'm like the cleanest black woman you probably run into out here in the middle of Whiteville. So at that point, he asked me to get out the car. He said, I want you to get out the car. I said, oh, hell no. I'm not getting out of this car. I'm not leaving my, there's no reason for me. But if you want me to go to the police station, I'll drive 10 miles an hour, hazard lights on, we'll go see your captain, then I'll get out the car.
Yes.
But we're not getting out this car today. That's not going to happen. So I guess he said, well, damn, I was a hard kill. He didn't feel like it. I just wore his ass out. I mean, excuse me. I get so upset when I think about it. It's just been a hard kill. He was, he didn't expect all that. He expected me to start crying and peeing and getting out the car so he could say I provoked him and shoot me in the head. I said, no, I'm not getting out of this damn car. You crazy as hell. Let's go down to the police station because you're getting on my nerves now. You really get on my nerves. So finally, he gave me the ticket. I went to court because I'm one of those people that go to court. And the judge was so angry. He asked to have, because he didn't show up. He asked to see him. He wanted to go to talk to his captain. He looked at the prosecutor. You have how they have it all lined up and before you get there. And he gave a long speech. He was so upset that he knew he was harassing me because he asked me what happened. And I told him it's a sheer harassment.
Wow.
So that's why I'm saying this is very upsetting for me. But I had to make a decision because I would have ran his ass over. I was not getting out the car. No, I'm not trying to be funny. If I'm going down, I'm going to kill your ass. You mind telling that car? Oh no, we ain't getting out this car today.
Venita said he yelled something about suicide and he jumped right in front.
And that's why I said it was my lucky day. I just wore his ass out because Sandra Bland, it's upsetting for me. You understand what I'm saying? That's very upsetting for me because that could have happened to me, but I was going to take his ass with me. He was going with me. I wasn't going to no jail. I wasn't getting out the damn car. I was going to run his ass over. I was going to jail for a reason because he's going to be dead as hell.
Well, we're glad it didn't turn out that way, Venita, because we need you.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we're glad you're with us.
Nicole, after you've been around for so many years, you've been harassed for so many years, and you dealt with this shit for so many years. That's why I told you I'm tired. You get tired. Sandra Bland was young. You get tired of it. You just get so done. Yeah. I can't even go to the store 9 in the morning.
Right. And I think that's like this, that's the toll, right? That's the toll of it all. That we get tired. That
done.
We get tired. And it's baggage. And then we have to work. I told you, I think I told Venita and I were talking when I was in Connecticut, and I was telling Venita about the counselor who was trying to convince me that when I wasn't dealing with racism, why am I going to pay you to try to convince because you're white? See white guilt. No, and that's the thing. It's just like the ways in which we're tired, how it manifests. Can you all recall when they started the news reporter, one of the Fox 26 news reporters here in Houston, and we had a big falling out, and people were like, "Girl, you and Isaiah Carey were." Yeah, we sure were. We were going back and forth because I was defending her honor. You don't have just because she's depressed does not necessarily mean she's suicidal, right? And so I don't know where you all stand. I don't know from day to day where I stand on that. Was this something happen when she was in that cell? Did she actually commit suicide? I'm just not sure. But I just felt like, he did this to not just people who were supporting him as a professional in his professional career, but Black people in general, brown people in general, but mainly Black people, because you get an expert on. You don't cop to that. And so now all of a sudden the story's over because that's how people treated it. Yes. She was depressed. she committed to. It was not the fact that, again, as Leonie talked about, the systemic oppression there. It's never brought to the forefront there. And so, you know, that's just it's
Aren't we
tough.
all depressed? It depends on what time of the day.
Yeah.
What day of the week? Now, some of us can put on that face better than others. We change it all day long. But if you Black, what you talking about? She depressed.
Absolutely.
All of us are. What day is it? What time of the day is it? Am I getting stopped in the morning, stopped in the evening? People looking at me and clenching their purse when I go down here to Lord Taylor's. I mean, it depends. When I go to the school, I may feel depressed when I come out of there after I deal with the white folks and their bullshit.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
So we're all depressed.
Absolutely. And how do you feel, Leonie? I mean, you're still North America, but how do you feel in Canada? Like, now that you've been in California and I know, of course, you're visiting, but have you been like thinking through that, like what Venita's saying, like this experience that obviously you've been having an experience as a Black woman, but like coming from Canada and spending some time in California, which is supposed to be more liberal and progressive. How are you seeing that?
For me, yeah, like California definitely presents itself as some kind of bubble. But for me, I'm very much aware that my life is more at risk here.
There you go.
Because this is the thing. I'm still in a country in which if someone were to shoot me, a police officer, they could literally get away with it. And I come from a country in which it'd be very hard for that to happen. Do you understand? Like, I come from Ontario, Canada. If a police officer shoots somebody, there's an automatic investigation. And so when I read articles like a cop shot somebody and, you know, they told the captain decided not to do a report, I don't even know what that means. Like, it just is, it's crazy to me. So it's more the fact that even though I'm staying, like, you know, between like Oakland and Berkeley, like I'm in like the leftist of left of this country, I'm still in this country. There are still things systemically that put me at greater risk.
Oh, Oakland's got a rough crowd. Yeah, you're in Oakland and Berkeley. Yeah, Oakland got a rough crowd, girl. You better make sure you go out during the day.
Well, this is the whole thing. Like, when I first came to California for this trip here, you know, because, you know, the people that I work with who are great, like, you know, they're always like, you know, you should move to California, move to California. I'm like, as long as California's in the United States, it's not going to happen. The neighborhood that I first stayed in when I came on this trip is by Lake Merritt. Lake Merritt is where Barbecue Becky happened. Lake Merritt is where the man who took the homeless man stuff and threw it in the lake happened. It was right in Lake Merritt. I'm 15 minutes away from Fruitvale Station. Like, this is the reality. This is the reality of it.
And it's so interesting, Leonie, how you tell that. And these spaces, like for me, how spaces begin to tell these stories of Black oppression. And oh my gosh, it's surreal. I tell you. And now let's not even start. Like, if you were in the South, let's not even, you know.
Yeah. And like I tell people here, I come from a white supremacist, racist country, anti-Black country. I absolutely do. I am not like trying to convince anybody of anything otherwise. The neighborhood that I grew up in right now is having a tremendous, horrible summer with gun violence. Horrible. Mm-hmm. So do you understand what I'm saying? But there's just, it's for me, it's not, there's something about being here that I'm always going to be on guard with, you know, because I'm in the leftist of places. And like I said, 2 of the most viral things that happened in the neighborhood that I landed in when I came to California. You know, they made a movie about Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
So,
Oscar, who was definitely detained, but he was still killed. He was killed nonetheless. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Panthers, you know, we do know the connections there. Yeah. Wow, deep. Well, thank you all for just, this was a tough one, I tell you. Leonie, do you mind taking, but closing us out number 8? If you could just read, like, I gotta shorten that. Just the end of that, starting with what's the bold font and the question there. Thank you.
Through the lady in red, though the lady in red does not wish to hear sorry, what do Black women want? How might Black women begin to publicly and privately refuse the weight of the nation that should not be ours to carry? Great question.
So could we just kind of close out by thinking, what do we want? We are so often Black women, we're told what we can't have, what we don't deserve, what we should not aspire to. And so and even at times we told other people try to tell us what we want, So if you had to kind of sum it up and sum this up in this discussion, like what would you say Black women want? Or you could be specific and say what you as a Black woman want.
I think for me, I want to feel safe. I want to feel protected. I want some sort of consequence when I'm not. And more than anything, I think it goes back to something Leonie was saying, is that I really want to be in sacred communities with other Black women. And I don't hear us talking about how we harm each other in sacred spaces. And so I would love to find more ways to be in positive, powerful communities where we are advocating for ourselves.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim. Mm-hmm. Gio?
Wow. Well, I don't know if I could quite say much more than Kim did, except that I just want to be seen as a human being and stop having to carry the imagined sins of my ancestors, because they weren't sins. They were reactions to violence and all kinds of prejudices. I just want to be a human being living on this planet, not having to worry about what happens to me if I step out of my front door, or if you come to my front door and I have to do something to you and suddenly I'm the antagonist. Suddenly there are drugs in my home. Okay.
Right.
Legal or illegal, but hey, you came here looking for trouble. And I can't defend myself because of how I look, but someone else can do it, and they get talked down and ushered out. Oh, they had problems. What about my problems?
Absolutely.
So, fairness and the ability to live as a really free human being with all the rights of everyone else. And I just want to say this, Leonie, it just amazes me on how you're able to view the world, because you don't have it. I mean, you really open mind. You don't have all this baggage of the different filters we have to throw down in front of us as we look at, things that happen in the world around us, or even right next door, or in our own homes. Because your viewpoint is from, I mean, even though you say Canada is really racist and whatever, what would it be like? I just wonder what it would be like to not have been the child of a slave and have someone always think of you as that, no matter how high the position you get. President of the United States, you're always seen as not good enough.
Well, I could say I have that experience, right? It's just a different experience. And that in terms of what I am doing is that I have made a commitment to how it is. And And I'm growing every day. I'm lucky in that I'm not lucky. I'm doing the work to grow every day in my commitment and in my capacity to remember that I am a human being and that I'm with other human beings and that we're all in pain. It's like I was in a workshop this weekend and there was somebody who was a white person who may have shared like 15, 16, 20 times over 2 days. And at some point, I was super proud of myself because I remembered I'm not having a problem right now with a white person. I'm having a problem right now with whiteness. So that I was able to see the person's humanity and hold on to my own. To say, look, this is not working for me. And so I can do something about it. But that the thing that's not working for me is not your existence. It's the system that we're in. And so for me, that's it. I want to have my humanity recognized, and I'm doing the work to recognize other people's humanity. Because at the end of the day, it's easier on me. It's easier.
Yes.
It's too painful otherwise.
I agree.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Venita, would you like to? I mean, I know Venita, you've kind of said, but would you like to kind of just summarize if you feel like it? What you want, or just to speak to the second part, like how could what could Black women do to start refusing to carry this baggage? Either one of those.
I don't know what we can do. I think we need to heal ourselves. That we need to start there first, because nothing is going to happen. At least it hasn't happened in the 59 years I've been here, because I haven't seen the healing. I just see movement, and I hear loud voices, but they're not saying anything. I hear a lot of static, but that's all I hear. It's just a lot of voices. So we have to heal ourselves first. And right now, I just need to be free, to feel free to be free.
Yes.
That's all I want. I don't want power. Money I only need it to survive, because I need to be able to purchase food and shelter and things of that nature. I don't want any of that. I just want to be free, just to be free. I don't want to carry the burdens of, and I hate to say it, I just don't have the capacity anymore to carry the burdens of anything.
Yes.
White
and I
folk,
love it.
white America, Black America. See, that people aren't talking about that. It's just not, that's just not, yes, we have that structural oppression. We have all kinds of other things that go on. But then we got the Black side of us over here too. And because of the lack of healing, because of the mental issues that we have, because we've been beat down and killed, I'm dealing with that too. So I can't, they won't even, all these things together doesn't allow me to be my best self.
Yeah. Wow.
Doesn't allow me to be any self.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I just want to be free to be free. Just that's it. I can do the rest of it. I can even be backup for you and Leonie. I'm the backup girl, but I just want to be free. That's all. Just let me be me. And I'm cool with you like that. Just let me be me.
So beautiful. Yeah, no, I get it. And I echo what each of you has already stated. I can recall last year, I was waiting on my daughters in the car pickup, the school pickup, the car riders line. And I saw this little white boy, and he's just running, and he could stop, and, he's picking flowers, and I just remember like this free body, and a young free body that neither my daughters nor my son has ever or will ever experience. I want a new earth. I want a different world for these children. I want something that is other than what we have. And then yet I have to hold on to the fact that I have so much more than some of my ancestors could have ever dreamed of, right? So weird, this interesting dynamic but I've been rereading Mother Audre Lorde, and I want what she talks about too in there is this space, for these children and these future generations, to just experience something different. Because I know I'm at midlife, but just that. And more can I say? But thank you all
That
for
was great.
another wonderful conversation. Thank you for staying present and engaged.
Oh,
Oh, Nicole's.
did we lose
I think we
Nicole?
lost her again.
I wanted to
Oh,
thank her. And Leonie, I'm feeling you tonight. I'm feeling you so much. I got a
Say
Leonie vibe
that
over
again,
here. Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
do.
Okay, you're back now, Nicole.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry. Where did I cut off? What? I don't know what all I said.
I think you were
I was
thanking us.
Yeah, I was just thanking you all for being present and staying engaged. Like, I know that
Yeah.
this was tough reading this chapter, and it's like a collective, and for many instances, public mourning. So thank you all for that. And I just want to wish you well, be safe, stay safe. And let's just, we got to take great care of ourselves and mainly be well. Because that's where this brings me to. So, so thank you for, if we had, for anyone watching, we will be back, not next week, the 16th, October 23rd, reading our story together, where we'll be discussing chapter 6 of Brittney Cooper's Eloquent Rage. It was a pleasure discussing this chapter with you all. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good night.
you. Good night.
Good night, y'all.
GL.
Good night,
Good
y'all.
night,
Good
Take
night.
everybody.
care.
Good
Have a
night.
good week.
Speedy recovery, Michelle.
Yeah.
Michelle.
Good night.